Hey guys, JHoyt here. Before this video gets started, I just want to say thank you for all the support recently on the channel, all of the views, the new subscribers, the comments, all the kind words that I've seen. Thank you guys so much. We're getting so close to our goal of 200 subscribers here on YouTube. I think we're like 8 away last time I checked, so if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new to my channel, hit that subscribe button down below. But here we are with part 3 of our CDL roster preview for the Toronto Ultra. What's on, guys? JHoyt back with you. Today, welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We got some amazing gameplay in the background, so I hope you do enjoy that. But like I said in the intro, we are here to discuss the Toronto Ultra and their outlook for the 2021 CDL season. So let's just start with how these guys do last year, right? These guys finished 7th in the league, right? 7th. Not horrible, right? But not really great, right? That's bottom of the table, or bottom half of the league, I should say. They finished 5th, 6th at champs, so okay, a little bit better than their position. But also you have to look at their first half of the season. They weren't really the greatest of teams. They only had a couple of wins, right? They were kind of skating the bottom 4 most of the time, and they were not playing well, right? This was also a team that had the first ever 10-man roster. So they could, hypothetically, have 2 teams scrim against each other, right? And figure out what 5 players, I mean, this is back to 5v5, but these guys could figure out what 5 players they wanted to play with at any given time. And they could scrim like crazy and have all these players and all these different options to try to figure out their roster and what roster they could best provide going forward in the league last year. So that's exactly what they did. They tried to switch up their roster, and for the first half of the league, they didn't really do too much. They just did not find success at all. They were at the bottom of the leaderboard and just overall not performing. But the second half, right? The second half, I think they made a couple of roster swaps along the way, swapping like one player for another, and I don't even remember how many times they changed around the roster, but the second half of the year, they performed a little bit better, right? They had a couple more wins, and then it wasn't until the last event of the year, not champs, the regular season is an event, the last event, it wasn't until then where they actually found some success, right? They went like 4 or 5 maps, or matches, I should say. They won all of them. They made it to the grand final, nonetheless, and they beat one of the best teams in the league last year, Atlanta FaZe. Like I said, this was before champs, so if you get hot right before champs and you figure out something, you could potentially make a run, right? And you could be one of those underdog, dark horse teams. But not really the case, because then they show up to champs, like I said, get 5th, 6th, which isn't horrible, but like I said, they just couldn't figure it out to get up to the top of the standings. But an overall kind of disappointing year for the Toronto Ultra fans, but we have the next season, right? We have this upcoming season to look forward to. So what do? Obviously, we switched back from 5v5 to 4v4 now, so they had to release, some players, in general, let alone, figuring out their roster for this year. So they basically said that I think they had like 6 or something players like immediately that they cut, leading to believe that the 4 players they kept would have been their starting roster for this year, which I believe was the case. So they kept 4 of the 10 players, like I said. They kept Bant, Cammy, Kleenex, and Methods, right? I mean, you finished 7th in regular season, 5th, 6th at champs, and I don't even think a couple of these players were on that roster at the end, or at the starting roster at the end, I should say. And you decide to keep them when there's still a ton of really good talent out there that you could have, I don't want to say easily, but that you could have pretty easily gotten a lot better team than this. And I feel like these guys just were like, okay, we want these guys, right? We're familiar with these guys, and we had them all last year, so we want these guys to be here. Now, all these players, I believe, with the exception of Bance, I think he's like mid-20s, but I think the rest of them are like low 20s, if I remember correctly. And I understand wanting to build around the youth, but also if you want to win now, then like you probably should sign players that are gonna potentially win now or have a better chance to win now, right? None of these players really have ever been at the top. I mean, Methods has had moments, Bance has had moments, but Cammy Kleenex, I mean, like, I mean, they're still young and upcoming players, but I don't really see these guys doing too much of anything in this upcoming season. I think I have them listed as like third to last right now, and that's behind the LA Gorillas and I believe Paris, who hasn't even announced their team yet. So I can't really, you know, put them in a real spot. But these guys, I mean, unless they come up and, you know, be that dark horse team and actually have really good chemistry and upset some other teams that just got put together this year, then I kind of see these guys as a bottom 4 team. But something to look forward to, or not really look forward to if you're these guys. But you actually have a substitute on this roster already, which is Insight, which if you don't know who this is, Kleenex and Insight were on a team called Team Singularity. Was it last year? No, it was the year before or something, where they actually did really good in the amateur scene and won a lot. So they have previous chemistry there. So if these guys don't have a good start to the year and just aren't performing up to par, potentially see Insight coming into the roster and trying to be that duo with his former teammate Kleenex. And you know, depending on who they sign out as substitutes or as an academy team or as a challengers team, I believe the term is, that you could definitely see some roster swaps, especially if you have players that just don't perform or players that just, you know, aren't really meshing well with this team. But overall, I just don't see these guys doing well. I don't see these guys winning a tournament. Right, we have the top 3 dogs in Atlanta, Chicago, I should say Optic, and Dallas. And then you have other really good teams up there that, you know, some of them aren't finished yet, but those guys definitely can compete more than this team. And could these guys surprise me? Of course. Do I see these guys making top 4 of any event? Unless there's a perfect event where just some teams, I don't know how it's going to work this year yet, but if some teams aren't playing and then a couple of big dogs aren't there, maybe they get in if they get lucky and get a good matchup or something. But overall, I just don't see these guys doing much of anything this year. I think they finalized the roster too early and didn't really look out on the free agent market to try to figure out better players to put in this position, especially with you know, none of these players, like I said, have really been at the top and won anything. So I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe they'll surprise me. But as for right now, as a really early preseason preview, I don't see these guys doing too much of anything. So I'm sorry if you're a Toronto Ultra fan or if you're any of the players, but I just don't see you guys doing too much of anything in this upcoming year. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button down below. As always, comment what your thoughts are down below. How do you think this roster will do in this upcoming season? Will these guys have to make roster changes to even compete? What do you think? Leave it down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, guys, see you next time.